Hello there guys, and welcome to another edition of Star Wars Comics. Hope you're having an amazing day because it's Vader time. We will cover one of the most brutal times for the Jedi, which was the events immediately after Order 66, and how Plo Koon's niece, Sha Koon, came to challenge Vader in a fight to death. Leave a like and a comment down below guys, I would love to know what you think about this issue. Check the description for more info and let's get this video started. This story belongs to Sha Koon. Brought to the Jedi Temple by her uncle Master Plo, Yoda was her first master. Just before the Clone Wars, she became a Jedi Knight and took an apprentice by her side. Sadly, he died during the Battle of Gaiju. A feeling that had never overcome Sha Koon overwhelmed her at that time. It was so brutal that she completely detached from the war and continued her pacifism on the temple, where every day she would visit her favorite meditation garden. But on this particular day, her uncle came to visit. He in fact was glad that her niece was doing relatively well, but she immediately responded to her uncle. If he were here to suggest that she come back to fight, then he is just wasting his time. However, by this point Count Dooku had died. The end of the war was just a matter of time. What Master Plo Koon had in mind was something much different. Through Obi-Wan, they had learned that someone close to the Senate was a Sith Lord. Her mission, should she choose to accept it, was to scour the Jedi archives and see if she can learn anything that might lead her to this hidden enemy. Sha Koon went on to accept. She immediately went to work, going through everything she could lay her hands on. Master Jocasta Nu approached. Perhaps she could be of some assistance, but what Sha Koon was looking for was not in the lines, but between them. Master Jocasta understood the errors of her past ways. She once thought that Camino didn't exist if it wasn't in the archives, but now she just wasn't sure. Everything was obscure to the point where you need to dig deep, and she left Sha Koon to do just that. She was going to tend to her Padawan, who most likely was exploring the secret passageways below the Jedi Temple. A lot of time passed. Sha Koon had made some progress, but not enough. As she was still concentrating on her task, suddenly a cold feeling had overcome her. The death of her uncle. Order 66 had been issued. Through her overwhelming feeling of pain, she went on to pass out right there. After some time, she woke up. All she could hear was screaming as smoke came through the temple. She didn't understand what was happening. Stumbling, she came out of the corridor and saw clone troopers this deep inside the Jedi Temple. That was not permitted. She didn't know what was actually happening at this time. The clones pointed their blasters at her. She felt their evil intent in the Force. She ignited her green lightsaber and deflected their blaster bolts. It was time to run. She knew that this enemy was just too overwhelming. As she was trying to escape, what she saw was heartbreaking. It was Anakin Skywalker. In the Force, in his mind, she felt it. Thoughts like ice, emotions burning like a pit of fire. He was now a Sith Lord. Skywalker killing Jocasta Nu. She had no time for deliberation. She continued to run away. She tried to buy time as much as possible. She had to escape if the Jedi were to live on. She remembered the secret passageways that Jocasta Nu had implemented. Through those secret doors and paths, she entered the deep catacombs of the Jedi Temple. Now, feelings of despair had overcome her. Everything she knew was gone and destroyed. Sha Koon now had a plan. She saw only one thing left for her to do. Shortly after Order 66, she appeared in holo communications to the Emperor. At first, Palpatine didn't know who she was. She presented herself. She was Sha Koon, one of the defeated, one of the Jedi, hiding out from the power of the Sith. She in fact had studied the Sith quite extensively. Her last task was to find Sidious himself. To do so, she explored much of what was known as the Sith Lore. Palpatine was inquisitive, and what does she actually know of the Sith? She knows that the dark side is quite stronger than the light. With the destruction of the Jedi, the Sith will now rule the galaxy. Palpatine asks her what does she actually want. She wants to serve. She wants to become Palpatine's apprentice. Laughingly, Palpatine told her that if she had studied Sith lore, then she knows all too well that there are only two, a master and an apprentice, and he already has an apprentice. What if she killed his apprentice? Well, in Palpatine's eyes, then she had proven herself worthy and superior to his current apprentice, Darth Vader. Palpatine assured her that he will send his apprentice immediately. Sha Koon told of her location. She was now waiting for Darth Vader to come. Darth Vader approached the underlevels. At first, Sha Koon didn't know if this was actually Skywalker, but through the Force, she could actually identify him, his thoughts, his pain. He could feel her now as she did in the temple. He didn't have the time to kill her since she chose to flee. Her lies were obvious to Palpatine and to himself. Now, she wouldn't be able to escape. She was doomed. Suddenly, a pack of Cathans attacked Vader. He ignited his lightsaber and continued to cripple all of them. They were being controlled by Sha Koon. They could be easily controlled and dominated with the Force, since they were primitive. As Sha Koon tries to entrap Vader with an electroshock net, Vader was stunned and briefly electrocuted until he destroyed the net with his bare fists. He was a monster, a magnificent monster and a powerful one as well. Vader could barely speak. The electroshock was going all through his suit and especially his speech pattern. Now Sha Koon revealed herself. All this time dwelling in the underlevels was worth it. She had longed for this day to kill Vader. She ignited her green lightsaber and Vader was ready as well. She immediately struck at Vader. In a sudden maneuver, she went on to hit Vader in the back, but the Sith was all too powerful. He pushed her through the Force, lunged at her, trying to get her as quickly as possible. Sha Koon's skills were still intact. She evaded Vader as much as she could, trying to defend herself with her lightsaber, but Vader's Force powers were too strong to control. He went on to choke Sha Koon through the Force and impaled his lightsaber through the Jedi Knight. She had failed. She was now before death. Her thoughts were scattering all around, as if the Force was trying to tell her something. Suddenly, through the Force, she saw everything. She saw the new hope of the galaxy that was to come. The son and the daughter of Skywalker. The children were to be the catalyst for the light to shine bright again. She witnessed as Vader picked up Palpatine with an intent to destroy the Sith once and for all. The son of Skywalker would return the ways of the Jedi. No, the future does not depend on her, as she slowly died in peace. The very next day, Vader presents himself before his master. However, displeased, Sha Koon did not die in fear. She in fact died at peace, not despair. Palpatine wondered what she saw before death, what made her feel at peace, but Vader was unsure as well. It did not matter according to Palpatine. The Jedi were weak, and so was she. Now the Sith control the Empire and the galaxy. His vision was that their rule would never end. And at this point in time, so was Vader's. Alright you guys, that is the end of this comic. Hope you enjoyed it. This was quite an interesting one, and especially the visions of Sha Koon and everything that she saw. It was quite amazing, and to be quite honest, this might have given the inspiration of the void that we see in Rebels, where everything is at once, time and space are all one and the same. She was able to foresee everything with precision. And even though this comic is Legends, we have seen canon stories be inspired by Legends material before, so this might have been the case. This comic is called Star Wars Purge Seconds to Die, and I really do hope you enjoyed it. If you want any future issues that you like covered down the line, let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching this video and supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. And before you go, may the Force be with you always.